The early 90s were a defining era for rock. Guns N' Roses, the kings of hard rock excess, were ruling stadiums with their anthemic hits, while Nirvana was spearheading a grunge revolution that rejected everything bands like GNR stood for. But what started as a simple musical disagreement turned into one of the most intense, and surprisingly petty, feuds in rock history. Axl Rose admired Nirvana and wanted to be friends, but Kurt Cobain had no interest in being associated with him. What followed was a bitter war of words, public insults, and an explosive backstage confrontation at the MTV Video Music Awards. This is the full story of the Guns N' Roses vs. Nirvana feud, one fueled by clashing ideologies, big egos, and some of the most cringe-worthy rock star moments ever caught on camera. Let's dive in. By the early 1990s, Guns N' Roses had become the biggest rock band on the planet. Their 1987 debut album, Appetite for Destruction, had transformed them from a reckless Sunset Strip band into global superstars. With hits like Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child O' Mine, and Paradise City, they embodied the wild, unpredictable spirit of classic rock. Then came Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, 1991, which elevated their status even further. They headlined massive stadiums, embraced over-the-top theatrics, and lived a lifestyle filled with private jets, outrageous parties, and legendary debauchery. But not everyone in the rock world admired them. At the same time, a new wave of music was rising in Seattle. Grunge. Nirvana, led by the raw and deeply emotional Kurt Cobain, had just released Nevermind, an album that would change rock music forever. With its breakout hit Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana dethroned Guns N' Roses from the top of the charts, marking the beginning of the end for hair metal and glam rock. While Axl Rose embraced rock's successes, Cobain wanted nothing to do with it. He rejected the idea of rock stars acting like gods and preferred thrift store clothes over leather jackets and bandanas. Their differences went beyond music. They represented completely different ideologies. And soon, these differences would turn into full-blown hostility. Despite their contrasting styles, Axl Rose actually admired Nirvana. He publicly praised Nevermind, calling it a great album, and even sported a Nirvana hat in interviews. He wanted Nirvana to open for Guns N' Roses during their 1992 stadium tour with Metallica, hoping to bridge the gap between grunge and classic rock. But Cobain wanted nothing to do with Axl. In multiple interviews, Kurt dismissed Guns N' Roses, saying, "We're not into their type of music. I don't like their band." He also criticized Axl's lyrics, saying they promoted misogyny and homophobia. When asked if Nirvana would ever tour with Guns N' Roses, Cobain flatly responded, "No, absolutely not. We have nothing in common with that band." This rejection didn't sit well with Axl. He had extended an olive branch, only to be publicly humiliated. What started as admiration quickly turned into resentment. After Cobain's repeated jabs at Guns N' Roses, Axl fired back. During a concert, Axl went on one of his famous rants. "I smell a junkie. Kurt Cobain is AF junkie. He'll be dead in a couple of years." Cobain didn't take Axl's insults seriously. He even found them amusing. In response, he joked in interviews that he was terrified Axl would one day show up at his house and beat him up. The feud escalated when Courtney Love, Cobain's wife, got involved. Love was never one to shy away from controversy, and she openly mocked Axl in the press. She called Guns N' Roses a joke and accused Axl of making unwanted advances toward her. Axl responded by calling Courtney Love a psycho, further fueling the fire. But the biggest and most embarrassing showdown was yet to come. The tension between Guns N' Roses and Nirvana reached its peak at the 1992 MTV Video Music Awards. Both bands were set to perform, and backstage, things turned into a circus. The backstage confrontation. According to multiple sources, the incident started when Courtney Love saw Axl and decided to provoke him. In a sarcastic tone, she yelled, "Hey Axl! Axl! Will you be the godfather of our daughter? Axl, furious, turned to Kurt Cobain and snapped, "Shut your woman up, or I'll take you down to the pavement." Instead of getting angry, Cobain turned to Courtney, smirked and mockingly said, "Shut up, woman." The whole scene was ridiculously petty, and Cobain later laughed about how easy it was to get under Axl's skin. But the drama didn't stop there. When Nirvana took the stage to perform Lithium, Dave Grohl took the opportunity to humiliate Axl in front of millions. At the end of the song, Grohl leaned into the microphone and started chanting, "Hi Axl! Hi Axl!" The crowd laughed, Nirvana laughed, and Axl was publicly embarrassed. Backstage, Chris Novoselic nearly got into a fistfight with Guns N' Roses bassist, Duff McKagan. The feud had officially gone beyond just words. It was personal. After the MTV incident, the feud continued in the press. Axl kept throwing insults at Cobain, calling him a loser and a junkie. But Cobain was struggling with his own demons. His heroin addiction was worsening, and fame was taking a toll on him. By 1994, Nirvana had dissolved, and on April 5, 1994, Cobain tragically died by suicide. Axl never publicly commented on Cobain's death at the time. However, Dizzy Reed, Guns N' Roses keyboardist, later revealed that Axl was deeply affected by it. Despite their rivalry, he respected Cobain's talent. Over the years, the hostility between Guns N' Roses and Nirvana faded. In 2010, Duff McKagan played with the surviving members of Nirvana, Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl, signaling that the old rivalry had cooled. Even Axl, who had once been Nirvana's biggest enemy, has softened over time. Guns N' Roses continues to tour, while Nirvana's influence remains as strong as ever. Their feud may have been petty, but it symbolized something bigger. The transition from the excess of the 80s to the rawness of the 90s. Looking back, the Guns N' Roses vs. Nirvana feud wasn't just about personal insults. It was about two different worlds clashing. Axl Rose was the last of the old-school rock gods. Kurt Cobain was the reluctant voice of a new generation. Their rivalry was inevitable. While we'll never know if they could have eventually made peace, one thing is clear. Their feud added another unforgettable chapter to rock history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of rock's most infamous rivalries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more legendary music stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.